What's up, guys? It finally happened. It finally happened. The fairies got revealed and the end is near. I'm so excited right now because these fairies look so great. I was expecting like all these like random ones that didn't really do anything, but they're actually really good. As usual, if you guys want to follow along, I'll have the link to the article in the description, but I'm just gonna be kind of covering over some of the cards. I'm actually like the second I clicked on Oberon even, I was talking with a friend and I was just like, what's going on? What's going on? This is too much. This is so good. So starting with the original Oberon, the actual resonator, it's Night King Oberon, and he's a 2-drop, 1 green, 1 colorless fairy, and it's 400, 600. And he has flying, which is already really good because like 4-6 for a 2-drop is already not bad, plus like the flying kind of makes up for the low attack. On top of that, he has quick cast himself, so it's kind of like not a replacement for Featsing, but I think it could do really well because you can like flash in and block something small, so you kind of got value for it, and then you can start flashing other fairies in because its actual continuous effect is fairies in your hand gain quick cast. That's completely ridiculous to me. I mean, what made Vivian so good, other than the obvious like pump, is a lot of the times if people try to like attack into like a flame sprite or something and you had a recovered Vivian, even if they're attacking with something that's like super big that you're not gonna be able to kill with like a blocker, you could flash in with her effect Black Moon's Fairy and then block, and then the Black Moon's Fairy would add another fairy to your hand from your graveyard, so you didn't really lose anything, and then you can go off next turn because you're summoning more fairies. So that's kind of what I feel like Oberon is, with the like addition of interdimensional escape, which is going to be like a really relevant board wipe. I was already saying like, oh, this is like the worst thing ever. Now fairies aren't going to stand a chance because, you know, you're going to flood the field, they're going to take everything out, and now you can't come back. But with Oberon, the whole way fairies are played changes like completely, because now the whole idea is you can have just Oberon on the field or nothing at all. You can actually like play counters now, because before there was no reason to. But you can now play counters and think like, you know, I can either flash an Oberon or use a counter, which would be really good. And so let's say if you have like 5 stones and or like 4 stones and a wind sprite, and your opponent, you know, plays a card that's not that threatening and attacks you directly, like let's say a Lancelot, and you can take it because it's not going to get to 1,000 for the effect to blow up your wind sprite. Or even let's say if they go like attack and you take the damage, during their end phase you can drop Oberon and Vivian, because Oberon would quick cast himself and then you can quick cast Vivian, and then on your draw phase you'd be able to like tap Vivian to summon a 1-drop fairy. You would recover, and then you can like drop a bunch of 1-drop fairies and then OTK them because they didn't have any answers and they maybe like tapped out or can't use cards like Flame King Shout on your turn, of course. So it seems like the whole idea on Oberon is to either have him on the field alone and maybe bait out some removal, or you know, drop Black Moon's Fairy and block to start gaining advantage that way, or just drop everything at once during your opponent's end phase so you can just go crazy on your turn and there's nothing they can do about it because they didn't know what to expect. So Oberon was like completely like, I think, everything fairies needed. This was something that was really relevant after the release of Interdimensional Escape because they weren't going to be able to do anything. And then the second card we saw with the Art of Oberon was a 2 green, 3 colorless, so a 5-cost chant, and it's called Song of the Fairy King. And it said you can put up to 5 target fairy resonators with total cost 1 from your graveyard into the field. That's so good. It wouldn't be something that you would run like insane multiples or anything. If anything, maybe it's like a 1-drop, but that's so insane because you can, assuming you put just the basic fairies we know now, you put a wind sprite, a water sprite, a flame sprite, a light sprite, and then let's say, I don't know, like a mechanical sprite, even though I wouldn't play a mechanical sprite, let's just say that's one of the 5. Water sprite searching for the enter. Flame sprite, if you have reflect, can do up to 1,000 damage to a target now that turn if you have 5 fairies, so you can like tap to do 500, target to recover with reflect, and then tap it again and do 500 again. So that's 1,000 damage you're doing to something to try to remove it, or swing for like 200. And if you, let's say if you happen to have had a Vivian, everything is gaining plus 1,000, so that Swiftness Flame Sprite is going to get to swing for 1,200, which is insane. And then your Water Sprite searches, your Flame Sprite can deal damage to something, or to 2 different things. You can do 500 to 2 different things if you have Reflect, which is great. Light Sprite's gonna heal 500, or you can choose to heal 1,000 if you choose to recover that instead of uh, the Flame Sprite. So it's and then like you get a mana ramp even with the Wind Sprite. So it's kind of really good. Like they're making it so that you kind of have recovery because that's everything fairies were missing. And it's the only thing that seems kind of odd so far is the amount of green that fairies are getting, because we normally see a lot of white. So I'm not sure if either Reflect players are gonna have to like rely more on Rulers in Moria and like make sure they can have the green through it that way, and maybe have like 2 off green stones or something along with the Fairies in Moria, or if it's gonna be where you just use Kaguya and then she mana fixes with the Moonbreeze in Moria, because then you have the moon to pay for Moonbreeze Fairy as well. So other than the fact that everything's green so far, I still don't think it's so bad. And then the next card with the Excalibur Sword art on it was called Circle of Trust. It was a 2 white chant. A lot of chants, but I think this is fair because if a lot of this was at instant speed, it'd be kind of too much. But this card was so good. It says choose one. You either search your main deck for up to 2 Fairy Resonators, reveal them and put them in your hand, which includes Vivian because it doesn't specify like 1 drop or less. Or you can just search Oberon, which is like if the whole deck is gonna revolve around Oberon, it might have sucked to like, you know, not see him early even if you're mulligan heavy for it, and it could hinder you. But now it doesn't because you can just search him. Like, it's so good. And then the other effect is or all Fairy Resonators you control gain +4/+4 until the end of turn. The fact that it has that as an option is really good because you might not want to search if you're going for game, but it's just so nice that this card has both options. I was really hoping that it said something ridiculous like if you control Oberon the Night King, you get both of these effects, and that would be really cool. But I still think this card is going to be great even without just having to pick through one of the effects. I think that's totally fine. Just the fact that you can use this to search 2 1-drop fairies if you have a Vivian is already really good, and she makes up for this being chant because she could put them into the field anyway. So I still think Reflex can be really strong because with all this search, you want to be able to recover Vivian as many times as you can, or Flame Sprite or Light Sprite, and take advantage of those. But we might still have to play Kaguya because of this is 2 white, the revive is 2 green. Even if you don't use the revive, the green you need for Oberon is kind of relevant too. You do have Rulers in Moria, so it might not be so much of a problem, but we'll have to see. And then the next card, the girl with like the Byakugan or like the Sharingan, was Fairy of Sacred Vision. It's a 1-drop white and it's a 1/6, which is really good stats for a 1-drop. And it said banish this card, destroy target addition or card in a chance standby area. That's really good. This card is the replacement to Speaker of Creation. It doesn't have the search effect Speaker of Creation does, but if you think about it, it's a for 1 white, destroy an addition on banish. I would say it's more like Holy Grail, but Holy Grail doesn't leave the field. So it kind of still has closer to Speaker's remove the field aspect than the other one does, but it still seems really good. The chance standby destruction seems good as well because Prison of the Lunar Lake stops Vivian because it is an automatic ability, so it's kind of nice to have like a sideable counter to it. Just in general too, I could see this card being used against cards like Wind Secluded Refuge, even if you're not playing fairies and you just have white, or if you're playing, let's say, black-white and you have Black Moonbeam and you want to be able to kill their J-Ruler but they're using Wind Secluded Refuge. This seems like a totally legit side card you can put in to destroy Wind Secluded Refuge and be able to take care of it. And white already has Tsukiyomi, but this can hit cards like Black Moons. I mean, I was gonna say Black Moons Memoria. The Pitch Black Moon, which is a moon, so it can't. Other moons that can't be destroyed with Tsukiyomi, this can destroy those as well. And Chance Standby, so it doesn't seem bad at all. I think this is like, it's one of those cards that even if fairies don't main it, they might side it, and if they don't side it, I could see it being side in general. It's kind of like a faster Blessed Holy Wolf anyway, so I don't see why this card would be bad by any means. And then there was the next card was the one with all the little cute fairies on it. It was called Gathering of Fairies. The name of this card made me so excited for a second because I've had this theory where, because for anyone that doesn't know magic cards, there is a magic card called Force of Will, and I think what it does is like, it's a blue spell because their counters are blue in that game, whereas ours are green, and it says like you can discard another blue card and discard, I guess, like because you're activating it instead of paying the cost, so you just like pitch another card to counter a spell. And so it's like instead of paying its full cost, you can cast it for 0 by discarding a card essentially. And I've been saying for the longest time that if Force of Will doesn't make a counter named Gathering of Magic, they're like completely like screwing out that opportunity, because it's so funny for like Magic to have a Force of Will card and we'd have like a Gathering of Magic card, and then it would be funny because like they do, like it would be like the same card and it'd be like a counter for us too, but like a green counter or something, and it would just be like the same name and kind of be like a cool, like, you know, oath to each other. So I'm kind of weird with stuff like that. I like fantasize about the weirdest things. I'm like, yes, cool named cards. But I saw Gathering Up and I was like, it's happening, it's happening, and then it was just Gathering of Fairies, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. So this card's really, really simple. It's a 1-drop white spell chant, and it says you gain 1,000 life, and that's it. This might be seen in Faria, but I really hope people don't play this in Faria. It's not going to be that good. Maybe a side card against a red, but I still feel like I might as well pay the 1 more cost and use something like Foment and fix my whole hand and heal 800 instead. They're at the same speed, so if this was instant, maybe I could see it being better, but I don't really see any use in using it if it's just a chant. Maybe we'll have more cards that trigger off heals, so it'll make it worthwhile, but as of right now, it just seems kind of like one of those filler cards, so there isn't really much to say about this. And then the last card was called The Last Drop, ironically, and it was a 1 green and 1 colorless, and this card was also one of those cards that's just really, really interesting. I also like the art. I love that it looks like Alice is getting the last like drip of like energy from the tree's branch, but it says choose one, you gain 1,000 life, or put target resonator with total cost 2 or less from your graveyard into your field rested. This card is actually really, really relevant in everything. I think any deck using green can actually maybe fit this in. In Kaguya, this card can do so much. You can do stuff like your opponent plays Guinevere, Rukeg, and passes. During their end phase, you use this card, target a dead Tsukiyomi, put Tsukiyomi into the field, draw a card because a moon entered your field, so you replace using the last drop. It's gonna recover during your phase anyway, and you just lock down their Guinevere. Like the fact that you can revive stuff like Tsukiyomi, like any of like, you can, in Fairies even, you can just revive a Black Moon's oh no, you can't block. Okay, you wouldn't be able to block, but you can just revive like a fairy during the end phase so that it recovers on your turn, and then go crazy with it on your turn. So it works in Fairies really well too. People have been saying you can use this in like red decks, so like during your opponent's deck you would revive a Lancelot and during their end phase, and then you would just recover on your turn and be able to swing with it, which doesn't sound bad either. And of course Sylvia makes green, so she could use this card in like a red rush deck as well. This card just seems really good, and then the fact that it's like choose one, you gain 1,000 life. See, like this card already replaced the other card because it has another viable option too. It's not just like heal and nothing else, and it just seems like so good. Like there's no reason. I love that these cards are getting like 2 effects, because it kind of gives you the situation of like, oh, okay, I can do this or this, and that sounds really obvious, but we don't really see that in forceful cards often. You never like get something like a heal, which could be really relevant in a pinch, but nothing that you'd want to like main deck for. So it seems really nice that it's like in a really, really crappy situation. Maybe I do want that 1,000 life. Maybe Faria is gonna have some kind of crazy way to play this card where the heal is really relevant, but she uses it for the revive, and the fact that she could trigger like her OTK and pump everything up by using the heal is like a plus, you know, and I think that's really, really cool. So these spoilers were really interesting. There's more fairies to come later on in this week. We didn't see all the fairies. I remember Jordan saying in one of his videos that there is going to be a whole week of fairy spoilers, so it was gonna be like Tuesday and Friday, I guess. We get them like Monday night and Thursday on the West, but that's really, really cool. Like there's even more. Like this isn't it, there's more. So I'm really excited for it. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Everyone knows I'm like the biggest fairy fan. I can't wait to like OTK everyone with like Oberon just dumping my whole hand and just attacking the next turn and having them be able to do absolutely nothing about it. Interdimensional Escape is like the only card you have to be careful for, but you might be able to work around it if you can still play Reflect anyway. But you know, Reflect's scarier to use too because of Black Moonbeam, so you'll just have to know your matchups. But I think fairies are going to be fun. I really, really can't wait. People have been wanting me to do like Alice Cluster fairy deck profiles, but I think I'm just going to wait for the new cards. Now that we know they're going to be this good, I'm going to have to playtest like a bunch and get like a really good list out. So definitely let me know what you guys think. I want to hear what you guys have to say about fairies, because I know they're actually like kind of a fan favorite, weirdly. Normally I don't think people would like them, but everyone likes fairies for some reason. And then if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe because I'm going to have a ton more spoiler fillers and stuff coming out really soon. And I'll definitely catch you guys next time.